Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Sunday functioning chat on Kettle Kitchen. Glad you all were able to come in. I see we have Jamie's Country Living, Two Doctors Homestead, Pike Creek Farm, Renee, thank you, and Rhonda Towery. Hello. So I'm going to go ahead and bring our guests up. We got Dale from 9 Acre Family Farm.
Howdy, howdy, howdy.
Janet and Daniel from Two Doctors Homestead.
Hey.
I'm going with just Michelle from Big Valley Living and Ginger and Joey from Not For Nothing Homestead. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
I'm setting off before we even get started. I am struggling with the internet, so I will try to make it work as long as I can. You might see me float in and out between devices to try to get it to work, but we'll see how it goes. So today's conversation basically comes down to this. How do we compare apples to apples when all we have is bananas and oranges? Okay. More specifically, let me put it this way. So in a conversation that Ginger and I had, we were talking about canning carrots and whether or not that was an economical approach. Okay. And then I started getting to look at it, and it's like, okay, yeah, I can go to Walmart and I can buy a can of carrots canned by the store for 78 cents a can. What I didn't think about was, and then I had also canned mine. So mine was costing $1 a jar, basically. And I'm like, wait a second, though. When you look at what the amount is in each can versus what I'm getting out of the home can, there's a difference. Not only that, I also know what's in that canned item. I don't necessarily know what is in that canned item from the store. So on that thought process, I think it's important to have the conversation for people that are looking to start a pantry or are in the middle of a pantry to make sure you're comparing apples with apples and not apples with bananas or oranges, if that makes any sense now. Okay. What do you guys think about that?
I totally agree. There is no comparison to your home canned food with anything that you're going to buy at the store, because they're always putting chemicals and corn syrup in everything to enhance the flavor.
Right.
And it's just no good for us. No good.
Well, I go back to, and this is an old, it's an oldie, but let's go on the protein side. Let's go to raising our own protein sources, our own meat.
I was going to go there too.
When you're buying hamburger, say in a grocery store, by law, they can legally put X amount of ice ground in with it. So when you're buying a pound of ground round, you're really only buying 3/4 of a pound, and the other quarter is ice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where if you're processing it yourself, or you're taking it to a custom state locker, like we do a lot of our larger animals. When you get out that pound of burger, it's truly 1 pound of burger, not to mention you already know what's in it. You don't know, it may not be induced with, CO2 to retain color or, any kind of additive that way.
Chloride, it's something chloride or something that they put in
the sodium chloride or something like that.
To keep the firmness. Oh, well, I've got a can here. I'll tell you.
But it also goes into when you're looking at, which we'll come back to Ginger when she's ready for it, but it also comes back to people understanding just because you're buying, and I remember this when I actually went, I don't even remember where it was, and I got a 3-pound package of hamburgers. Okay? In doing that, I told Patty, I said, I want to check out and just see how much 3 pounds by their math is 3 pounds by my math. And I'll be darned if it was not a full 3 pounds of meat. So again, it comes back to that same thing. If you're going to compare apples with apples, then do it. but don't assume you're doing that always just because of what you're being told. You need to really look at what you're putting in, putting away, what you're cooking with, and when you break down your prices, are you actually getting what they say you can, you know, or should? Another good example I remember, and I told Ginger that I went to the store, bought a pound of bacon, and flipped out because the price went up $2. I didn't flip out on that as much as I did when I found out the pound of bacon I just bought was only 12 ounces of bacon.
Exactly. That's what I was getting ready to say. I seen it in bacon. I also seen it this week in when we were grocery shopping. Your 4-pound bag of sugar is now all of a sudden 3.4
something. Right.
It's the shrinkflation. Yeah,
it's shrinkflation. It is. I mean, because you're now paying a higher price, but you're getting a smaller quantity, and we all seen it coming. It's just now it's even worse. Now they're stretching it a step even further, and it's like, this is unreal. I mean, I just don't get it, you know?
Yeah, I wanted to jump in on that if I could.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a great conversation to get into. You know, I mean, when you're, you know, like Dale's doing and I think a lot of people are doing and we're doing, you're trying to produce your own food. And we're all on a limited budget, and sometimes doing it yourself isn't cheaper. But then, you have to weigh that math of, was it better? Was it healthier? And a lot of the times, yes, like every time, probably it's going to be, yes, it was healthier, it was better, it was tastier. We hit that on turkeys. We did turkeys one year, and we did the math at the end, and they probably cost us $100 each when we did all the food. I think
Michelle hit the wrong button. Sorry.
I think we lost Michelle. You know, our cost per bird, because we did the wild game feed, the high protein stuff, it was not cheaper, but it was better. Like in every other way other than price, it was better. And that's the challenge. And we've seen some shows where people are trying to do the math, and it's all on how you want to do the math. End of the day, we're on a limited budget. So if I know I can get turkey for 50 cents a pound on Thanksgiving, in my mind, that's the number I'm going to use, versus if you went to a farm and you bought the turkey he raised, sure, that's going to be $3, $4, $5, $6 a pound. But in my mind, I'm always tracking it back to, I can get it for 50 cents a pound. I can get it for 50 cents a pound. And sometimes we meet that. Sometimes we don't.
Yeah, I mean, but if you actually utilize your animal completely, like we raise hogs too. And those hogs, you know,
we save money on that.
With the price of grain that's gone up, they do cost more money. But we put, for one hog, 300 pounds in the freezer. And that was off bone because we did sausage. I took the bones. I made bone broth with it. I made 45 quarts of bone broth with that one hog, and I rendered out the leaf lard, and I got about 30 pounds of leaf lard off of them. So now you're thinking you have your lard, you have your bone broth, which one thing of bone broth at the store, like real bone broth,
expensive,
is $5-6 now, and you have all the meat with it. So I mean, there's when you're doing it yourself, it's harder to do the math. Sometimes it's more straightforward. If I wasn't so exhausted, I would have made some chicharrones and kept the steam.
We were looking at it. And my friend Jake was over. He's like, you know, we can make chicharrones. I'm like, it's been a 14-hour day. If you could take it home and make whatever you want. I mean, you got all that sitting there. Like, I got nothing left, but that sure is a lot of chicharrones.
And we kept whatever organs you could keep on a hog. And I dehydrated them into dog food. So like jog treats. So you have this one animal that people think, oh, I just get ground pork at the store, but that one animal gives you a whole lot of other stuff that you don't know about.
And how much? Let's not even talk about the fact of how much that you are honoring that animal for their sacrifice by utilizing every part
everything.
Exactly. That is amen. Because that is exactly what you should do. When you do it at home and you honor that animal for what they've given you, not just going to a butcher and they're throwing this there or you know, the big commercial ones I'm talking about. But that was a life sweet life as it was, because they're great animals. And yeah, you're right. That's what it's, to us, that's really what it's about, Dale. I'm glad you mentioned
Yeah.
And even to simplify it, I've taken the thought process of making homemade brown sugar. Simple, easy, but a lot of people are like, well, why don't you just go to the store and buy it? It's because I can make it in 5 minutes and I know what's in it. I don't have to guess what's in it.
Yeah.
I put it in there.
And you're even saving your
So,
time.
yes.
You're doing that. You're even saving your gas.
Say that again.
You're saving your gas.
Yep.
You're saving your time. And those two things are worth something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Correct. So I think what's important for people to think about when you're comparing, again, apples to apples, let's compare apples to apples. Okay. If you're going to compare whether I can go to the grocery store and I can buy $1 item, or can I stay at home and make it for even cheaper than that, I think what Michelle just threw in there really ties it home even more, because you got to consider the time, you got to consider the gas, you got to consider the product you have to do, you have to make to get to this end result. And are you getting more out of it and knowledge of what you're putting in it in trade-off for what you would just go to the store and buy? So I think that really is where that conversation came from. And Ginger, were you able to find what you were looking for?
Yeah. So I have a very, very old cookbook. But but it says the new cookbook. But this is like,
is that like 1982?
This is like a
we have that one too.
Yeah, we've got that one. Yeah.
Okay. This was a wedding present. So this thing is 30 plus years old. When you've got recipes that you are following, this is a prime example of how the marketing is now retraining the buyers, but doing it in a sneaky way. Like they're raising the price of cans of things just a little. So you think, oh, it's just a little increase. Well, a lot of these recipes, they want you, like I've got a spaghetti squash marinara here. They want a 16-ounce can of tomatoes. They don't sell tomatoes in a 16-ounce can anymore. It may be a little bit bigger, a little bit more, but it's actually now a 15-ounce can. Beans are 15.25. Actually, that was corn. Sorry. I promise. This one, white acre peas, 14.5 ounces. So nothing is 16 ounces anymore. All of the recipes in this book, as I'm digging through, they're all 16 ounce, drop in a 16-ounce can. So this shows you that they used to have 16-ounce cans of everything. And now we're going to 14.5, 14.25, 15. So you'd have to buy 2 cans. Not to mention that part of this in here, as we all know, if you open up this can of green beans, how much water's in here?
A lot.
A lot.
Yeah, a lot.
How many of those ounces is water?
Right.
Exactly.
So you've really got to pay so
Which actually is a good Well, it's a good segue into what I was thinking earlier when we were talking was, like when I took a can of carrots, and for comparison, so I took the can of carrots, drained all the liquid out, and then I weighed what was in there. And then I did the same thing for my finished home canned carrots. I got almost 3/4 of a cup more for only 20 cents more cost.
Yeah.
It's almost double when you really get to it, and the loss of money you're putting out because you think it's easier and cheaper to do it that way,
Yeah.
So
Imagine if you
we
grew
had that
those
conversation the
carrots,
other day, and it really just hit me. Right, exactly. That'd even be better, because then I wouldn't have a cost associated to it other than time.
Yeah.
So again, it really is important for people when they're looking at setting up pantries and things like that. What is the cheapest way to do it? Don't be so boxed into I can only go to Walmart to get it, or wherever the grocery store is you go to, because you may find that and carrots and celery and onions and things like that are so easy to grow that why not try to do it that way and save yourself a little money? And then you know exactly what's in the dirt, you know what's on the vegetable, you know what's going in that item that you preserved, however you choose to do it. You know, because candy's not the only way. You can freeze dry, you can freeze or, you know, do it. You can dehydrate, you know. So I mean, there's multiple ways to preserve the stuff. So
Yeah.
well, welcome in, Tina. Thank you for joining us.
Hello.
Hi,
Hi,
Tina.
I got,
How are you today?
Hello.
well, I got stuck in Coeur d'Alene. I had to take my grandson back, so I was delivering purchase cargo, and he didn't know how to tuck and roll, so I had to wait for him.
Also, in this book, I don't know if anybody.
So I
has
do want to say,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
Go ahead. You
No.
go.
Go ahead.
You're saying hi to people, like the people that came in.
Hello
So
to Little Ridge Farms. Hello to 9 Acre Family Farm. Hello to Janet from Homestead Where You Are. Janice from Where to Begin Homestead. Big Valley Living. I'm assuming it's Michelle, but hello anyways. To Doctor's Homestead. Leanne, Mennonite Farmhouse. Thank you for coming in. Jamie's Country Living again. Oh, I just booped up, so I gotta figure out where I left off. Glenda, Grace and Fire, Lori Hyman, Rhonda. I think I said hello too, but I'll say hello again too if I didn't.
I don't know if I can fix that. Suburban Hillbilly said, Ginger, your volume is very low. Is that any better? Am I louder?
All you guys sound almost half muted to me right now, so I can't tell.
It's
Sometimes
fine.
I'm like too loud anyway. So
Alvin Lewis, thank you for coming in. Heavenly Hills Homestead, Dirt Road Destiny Homestead, Susan Ty, Jamie's Country Living. Boy, we got a lot of people in here. Littlefoot Ranch,
yes.
6 Acre Farm. Linda, hello. Okay, I think I caught up, but we'll figure it out. So, what do you guys have to say about that in thought process, aside from what we've already discussed? Is there anything else to add to that, you know, in making sure you're comparing apples with apples?
I think the first thing that I noticed about that was with sugar. There's no such thing as a 5-pound bag of sugar anymore. They took a whole pound away, and now they charge you more for it.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
Right.
That and coffee.
Yes.
Coffee is not the
14
same size anymore
ounces.
either.
Yeah,
Yeah.
14-ounce pounds.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
Well, and I
That's what
saw
I
something.
don't get. How do they still call it a pound
Mhm.
when it's not a pound?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think they call it that anymore. We call it that because we got to enjoy real pounds.
yeah, at one point in our lives.
Yeah, we saw something at the store, and I just don't remember seeing it before, and maybe it's me, but they had a little bag of flour. It was like a 2-pound bag of flour. And I just don't remember seeing that before. I mean, it was in
I've
the
noticed
flour
that
aisle.
too.
Yeah, I'm like, what is that?
Yeah, I've not seen that.
What are you
It's
going to
like
do with it?
A cup and a half of flour, basically.
Yeah,
What are you gonna do with
yeah.
it?
Eventually, that's going to
Yeah.
be the same price as the 5-pound bag.
Mhm.
Someday they're
Yeah.
just getting you used to seeing this little tiny bag. You know,
Mhm. And the problem is, and I know in chat that someone had mentioned to buy in
Right.
bulk. You know, if you buy, you have to have the money to buy in bulk.
yeah.
Is the
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
So if you don't have the money to put out a huge amount of capital for all of these items, that's how they're getting you. That's
Yeah.
how shrinkflation is going to work, because they can dial it back and know that the average American households likely can't afford to buy everything in bulk all the time. They just don't have that amount of capital sitting around.
Yeah.
It's corporate greed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is. And that's why people like
Right.
our companies like Azure Standard, a lot of people, if they have that upfront cash, they go and order from Azure Standard or I think there's another one out there too. I can't remember what it's called, but they try to go and order from them in bulk when they can, because it's just, they're reconditioning our thinking without telling us.
Right. One way to combat that, though, if you live in an area, a more urban setting, perhaps, is that we can go to Winco and, buy out of the bulk bin. So that's cheaper. And then you buy the full pound. And they even have dried pasta and everything. So what you're buying, you are getting exactly what you can afford, and B, exactly what you want, weight wise at least.
And we don't have a Winco. I wish we did, because I watched somebody took a video of going through a Winco, and I can't remember who it was. And they actually, it was Papa's Kitchen. That's who it was. He went through all the bulk stuff, and I could not believe the things that were offered in bulk. I was like, oh my gosh, I would love to have one of those.
Well, and Winco is actually cheaper than Walmart. They even on their price tags, they say compared to Walmart, and they will show the difference in the price at Winco. I love Winco.
I know me and Tina love us some Winco.
And in here in our area, everything turns over so quickly. I mean, I have seen families go in there. I guess they must be stocking up for the year, and they don't ask the people who stock things, and they will clean out a bin of food. So there's new fresh flour coming in all the time, and spices. The quantity and the quality of their spices is crazy.
Yeah.
I don't even know what a Winco is. I've never heard of a Winco.
I think it's a West Coast thing.
It must be out then. You're missing out. I noticed at our Winco when everybody else was, their shelves were bare, including Walmart. Winco's shelves were not.
Nope.
Wow.
We had everything.
Wow.
Man. And is it like Sam's where you have to have like a membership, or
no?
It's just a grocery store.
It's employee owned.
It's employee owned, and it's warehouse based kind of setup, but not like Costco or Sam's Club.
But it has shelves just like any other, a local grocery store. Ginger, do you guys have something like maybe Pack and Save, or what else, you guys? What other stores were here before Winco that are sort of like that? You might not even have Pack and Save.
The URM.
Yeah.
No.
We're talking about Winco.
No, I haven't seen either one of those. I don't know.
I think it's kind of a trade-off, though, in all reality, because I don't know how, for how long I listened to a lot of channels when I started talk about Publix and Aldi's and Food Lion, and we don't have any of those.
Yeah.
So those,
I agree. I'm like, what? Leanne said maybe Save a Lot.
I have seen a Save a Lot, but they don't have bulk stuff like that.
Oh,
They just have like dented cans and.
Oh, that's our grocery outlet.
Yeah.
It's grocery
market.
Yeah. And I have a suggestion for the Azure Standard for people who can't do that just like for themselves. They can't, as a family, put that kind of money into it. My suggestion is get together with a group of people. Just make one big bulk order. And then you guys are getting the deals. And you're getting them to, actually come to wherever it's been established. So if you do it as a group, it works out, a whole lot better.
Yeah.
I never heard of Azure Standard until I started watching YouTube. And I'm going to be honest, I think it's way overpriced.
Yeah.
I think Azure they're charging a lot of money to put the stamp of organic on it. And most of us who know that organic is something that has any standards really to it through the FDA. So I mean, growing your own is probably the best if you have it. If you don't have the room, you could go in little buckets. But I'm trying to look at it from, again, I grew up poor. So I look at Azure Standard as very expensive. I could run down to Costco or Sam's Club and I can get the same thing. And, you know, again, organic isn't really something that you could say what is organic and what is not. There's really no big standards on that through food. So I think it really, that's just my personal opinion.
I think it really comes down to, as far as that goes, for me, is I've used Azure Standard, but it's because I can get things I can't get locally. That's why I use it. If you're looking from the organic point of view, definitely it is one to look at. But I also agree with you, Janet. There are some things in there I'm like,
they're very expensive.
I'll pass on that one. Thank you very much.
When you look at it, and I want you to stop, because obviously I look at this from a business standpoint because that's my thing. The marketing on YouTube goes to YouTubers to push what they want to market. Right. And they are programming you to believe that Azure Standard is better because you're watching it because they're celebrities and they're telling you that it's better. So just always know that you need to stop and realize, what are people marketing me towards, which marketing is manipulation of perception.
Right.
You know, to that point, Janet, it's funny that you say that, because at one time I was watching all of these big channels get their freeze dryers. And then I started thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I need a freeze dryer. Oh my gosh, I need a freeze dryer. And I got to get one. And oh my gosh, they're so expensive. How am I going to afford
$4,000?
Right. And you got to be in the cool kids club.
I kind of reeled myself back in and thought, I don't really eat anything that's freeze dried now. I think I'm okay. Why am I in freak out mode? Stop like sucking into that. And just do you. And I find that dehydrating stuff in my little 5-shelf Nesco dehydrator is fine for me.
Right.
So I saved myself, like $4,000 by talking myself back off the ledge.
Good for you, Ginger.
We've thought about it, and that's a hard price tag to get past.
It is very hard. I got, in all honesty, I got a package from Angela, the Inquisitive Farm Wife. She sent me, because I've never eaten freeze-dried anything before, that I know of. I mean, I'm sure I probably have and just didn't realize it. So she sent me 5 packages, and it was all candies, and I'll admit, they tasted good.
He pile drive
Skittles and bit of honey and taffy, and it was great, except the reality is, for me, it seems like a waste of money to do it that way when I can find other ways to do it. I'd much rather take $4,000 and stock my pantry, or buy jar lids or something like that. That's where I'm at with it.
And I think you have to go ahead.
I think you actually have to eat a lot of freeze-dried food to justify that price tag.
Yeah.
And we won't.
We won't. No.
And then you have to think of the expense that you're putting into the food to put into that $4,000 dehydrator.
Right.
My sugar, Tony.
I know. Hello, Tom. Welcome.
It just spiked with that.
Yeah.
Tom, if you would have been on the duo call that Tony and I were on when I was watching him.
Stop.
Oh, this one's good. Oh, I'm like, dang it, man. What are you doing?
Well, we have channel friends that have one that we met locally, and they freeze dried Skittles, and everyone just went on and on and on about
really
Skittles.
Yeah.
Me personally, I didn't like them at all.
Yeah.
Because the chewy part of a Skittle is what I like, and they're not chewy.
Oh, and I don't like that. So when I tried them, I really liked them. But I don't like canned celery or anything. So I see the value in things like, celery, onions, that type of thing. But we have to think about how much money, are you saving money, or should you just do that Thrive Life or something?
Well, and I think it was Renee that just said that, but
Yeah.
you know, when you're looking at, okay, so if you don't like canned celery and you don't like canned onions, and you don't like canned mushrooms, which are typically the ones people don't like home canned, okay? Azure Standard, or not Azure Standard, August.
I love canned mushrooms.
I love canned mushrooms too. Thank you, Ginger.
But you can also use Thrive Life. You can use Augustin Farms. There's others out there. I'm just giving those as example. It's not a paid promotion or anything like that. But the cost of $4,000 for 2 cans of food just seems outrageous when I can just buy it already done that way, and I don't have to worry about the machine or anything else for that matter.
Yeah.
Well, and if you have a friend who has a freeze dryer, you know, and we know a few people in town. So if we get extra produce, I would just barter with them. Hey, we'll give you guys, you know, so many pounds of onions or tomatoes or whatever. If you'll freeze dry a load for us, then I know a wise person who's a celebrity as of today who once said, "I love bartering."
Are you talking about me? I am.
Yeah, he's talking about you, girl.
He's talking about you.
I do know what I missed about celebrity.
I'm going to start with my Italian accent again, which sucks. But are you talking to me?
That wasn't Italian. That was Cuban. That was Tony Montana. So you know, you were off a little bit.
Hey, all I've learned from Italian accent is tree.
That's right. 1, 2, 3.
Oh no, I like the 2 Utes better.
Yeah,
that's the one I learned from. The 2 Utes. Yeah.
I do want to
thank you for that comment. I think I'm going to try the freeze dried celery and onions.
He had a question back up here. He has a question for everybody on the panel.
Who is this? I didn't hear who it was. Sorry.
Tom Garvey.
Okay, go ahead.
Could I use my electric smoker as a dehydrator to start with? Tom, you can actually use your oven.
Yeah.
As a dehydrator. Just put it on the absolute lowest setting, even if it's gas or electric, because I have gas and I did it when we had our electric. Actually, I used my Ninja. My Ninja has a dehydrate setting on it. So you can use your Ninja, you can use your oven is the best. Just put it on mine goes down to like a tail. Wow.
Is that Ginger's Ninja?
There is a channel out there called Ginger the Ninja, and it's not me.
It's not you. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the smoker would give you too much flavor.
You wouldn't want to smoke it.
Yeah, because usually, like, I have a pellet smoker, and you have to run pellets through it so you can get that.
You can hot smoke and cold smoke in the smoker, but I wouldn't dehydrate.
Yeah, because you're
just
always
just the oven. Yeah.
If you're doing jerky,
jerky
like that. Oh,
yeah. You can hot smoke it.
Then at that point you're smoking it. You're not
dehydrating it. Right.
You know, Tom, you could during the summertime get yourself a little glass box and put that thing right outside
in Vegas.
In that
just
Vegas
slap it on your dashboard of your car, and that'll dehydrate it.
Hello, Wesley.
Deb R just said that she barters 25% of a load with the freeze dryer. And I mean, what a great idea. And it, you know, if you have a machine and you're not using that machine regularly, it's gonna lose its ability to work properly.
Oh, Michelle.
So, you know, you're kind of helping the freeze dryer owner as well and helping them stock their shelves. I want to get freeze dried tomatoes because I did my tomato skins to make tomato powder in my dehydrator. And I just cannot get it dry enough. So I would rather freeze dry. Dude, I have done it for like 30 hours. And I dry enough. It clumps.
What kind of
low humidity? I have the Nesco, you know, like it works great for things like apples and oranges and lemon slices and everything. So I don't know why, but I just can't get it to that point where it just clumps.
Yeah.
Wow. Huh.
So I think
wrong. Somebody send, chat, put it in the chat, please. Maybe I'm doing it too low. Maybe the temperature's too low.
Go lay down. Go lay down. Luna, go. Go over your own.
says if he gets one more cooking appliance,
No.
there may be a story.
No, there's
I've got many of those.
He's gonna get the cement boots, I think is what he's saying.
Yeah.
Give
He's
him
gonna
the
be
cement boots.
swimming with the fishes.
Swimming with the fishies, Tom, with those appliances.
Hey, and I can understand that because you always want to buy the latest gadget, this,
Yeah.
that, and the other. And if you got pots and pans at home and an oven, you'll just be better off just to use those. I will say I do love that little dehydrator, the Nesco, and that is one thing that mine has no setting. Mine has an on and off button. That's it.
Okay, mine you have to plug in and unplug. That's the one thing I don't like, but it does have temperatures. So we can adjust our temperatures to really low, like 90 degrees, I think, Fahrenheit, all the way up to, I could go, you know what? I'm going to go look. I'll be back in a minute.
Okay. Roger that.
all right.
Roger.
And she's gone.
And she's out.
So I think what I'm trying to say in all of that is again, compare apples to apples. Can you afford that amount of money? Most of us can't. Some people can. I'm not saying they can't. Okay.
Yeah.
What is your return you're getting out of that would be the best way to look at it.
Right.
Yeah, even if you can afford it, do you
Right.
really? Is it really going to pay for itself in the end?
And that would be the question I would ask.
Right.
So,
And we were that's kind of where we started, Tarantino, back to the beginning there, which is, you're not always going to save money. Sometimes it's better, right? Sometimes it's better. You got your freeze dryer, you're never going to get your $4,000 back and you're losing money every time, but maybe it's better, right? If you want the ultimate long-term food storage, there you go.
Well, and
That's
Deb
the
also
$4,000.
said that you only lose 5% of your nutrients.
Yeah.
That is something to consider as well, right?
It
If
is.
you want to preserve your nutrients. And okay, so my Nesco dehydrator here, it starts at 95 degrees Fahrenheit or 35 degrees Celsius, and it goes all the way up to 160 degrees Fahrenheit or 61 Celsius.
right.
So I can adjust this. And when we did apples, they weren't crunchy enough. I like dehydrated apples to be really, really crunchy. So I just turned it up for about 4 hours at the end to finish it off.
Mm-hmm.
Got a really nice product. So I really like this thing, and I just keep it sitting out on one of the sideboards in the dining room all the time so that it's in my face and I remember to use it.
Right.
Yeah.
And it is inexpensive, and you can buy more things to stack on it. So you don't.
What is the most shelves you can have on that? Just out of curiosity.
I don't know the answer to that, but I have at least 15, and it's filled them all up, and it's totally effective.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Wait, you have 15 shelves in your
It looks like, okay, now I'm going to go count. I'll be back in a minute.
We'll just keep asking Michelle's questions, and then she's just going to keep
She's just going to be gone.
Yeah. I've heard of 9, but I've never heard of 15. That blew me away when she said that.
I do agree with Leanne, Mennonite Farmhouse. She says my canner is paid for itself.
Yeah.
Once you get the canning bug and you really get that down, you can more than pay for that canner.
Absolutely.
Both of my canners have paid for themselves. I have an All-American and a Presto, and they have paid for themselves. I mean, I can't even tell you how many times I work those boys hard.
Is that the Choo Choo Train brothers?
Yes.
Yeah.
Come on, ride the train.
But again, it really comes down to, and again, this is just me. I mean, I'm not saying nobody should do it. I'm saying for me, in my perspective, at $4,000, at $3,000, at $2,500, I don't care what amount of money we're talking about.
That's too much.
4 brand new canners and a really decent working stove that will give me exactly what I need to do as far as preservation. It seems like a better investment to me than it is the other way around for my situation.
Right.
Yeah.
And we have 10 shelves we have 10 trays.
Right.
It feels like 15 when you're cleaning those.
10. We give it a 10.
We give it a 10.
But I fill it up every time, and it's great.
A lot of the other thing too, because of what's going on in the side chat, I just want to throw out there. And it's a question I know me and Ginger had night, and she gets actually in her Can It or Scan It series, she gets questions, how come you don't include the price of the jars? And I told her the other day, I will never include the price of my jars because most of my jars are reused. I've already made the investment. They've already paid for themselves. I don't have to include the price in that because I've used them 5-6 times and they're still there.
Yeah.
So
I view my canner and my jars, just like we said on Friday night, that is a capital investment.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not a one and done. You are going to
And your
reuse
bands
that.
too.
Bands too.
Do you
Yeah.
figure in?
You're not
your
counting your
switchblades?
stove in it every time you make a video and cook.
Exactly.
Thank you.
You know?
Next time, just tell them, well, with depreciation, it's worth nothing now.
Right.
Yeah, there you go.
Right. Yeah.
Well, you know
But that is a very valid point though, because we don't, and it goes back to what I think it was Michelle said in the beginning. We were talking about, you don't include your travel time, you don't include your gas. Well, we don't sit here and include how much we're charged in electric or gas going out from our stoves or facility that we're using. So there is a trade-off, and it's a natural process to do that. It just makes no sense to include that in the price when that's already been more than paid for, like the canner. You no longer, I mean, and it really goes to what Janet says, depreciation over time definitely loses its value. And it at some point, it either goes to zero or a negative amount. That's just the way it works.
Right.
So to include it, I think, is an unfair thing. I think most of the time when you do look at how much is a canning session going to cost me, it's more about what am I paying for that product I'm trying to get to an end result, not the devices or utensils I'm using to get there as well. So,
Or
the cost of your jars does go down over time the more you use them, and you need to treat them properly. Don't put metal objects in your jars. It will extend the life of those jars in a huge way.
Right.
Yeah.
So don't go and get jam and throw your metal knife in there to get it out. Get some bamboo utensils or something that you're going to use.
I saw somebody debubbling with a butter knife.
Butter knife. I see it all the time.
My mind.
Yeah. But again, it goes to other things as well. I mean, it's like two doctors. I'm sure when you guys go through and process a pig or something, you have utensils that you reuse. Yes, they were an investment, but you're reusing those items. Dale, I know with all the stuff you farm out, you're in the same position. I know Tina is because I know what she does. So my point I'm trying to make is that we all, for different processes, we all have utensils that we use, and over time they depreciate in your extended value you would put out in a product. So to me, it just doesn't seem a necessity to include those into your pricing because they're an investment that is part of a process you will carry on. By all means, if you go out and buy a half a pig and you want to process it, then you should include that in the price you're looking at. Okay. Yeah. So
the only time actually that you would even include the price of your jars or your canners or anything like that is if you throw them away after you do that batch.
That one use thing.
Right.
Yeah. No, and that's a valid point. Yep.
And
don't,
I was going to ask,
forget.
does anybody have an idea of, because I think I've heard, and this is just on the pro side of the, because we've listed a lot of cons of a freeze dryer. The pro side, I think the longevity of the food you process is a little bit longer than your canned food.
Yes, it is.
Yes. Right? Oh, yeah. It's pretty much forever.
The reality of it is, and the benefit that I see from what I've heard is exactly what you said. Your shelf life is longer. You only lose 5% nutrient value theoretically, and that's in a average amount. Everything is different from my understanding. So there are benefits to it. It's just is 4,000, 3,000, 2,000, whatever the price is, because I've heard various prices.
It depends on the size of the unit. That's why.
And okay, which makes sense, and I'll go with that. But is it really worth it for what you can do other things with? And again, for myself, I'd much rather take, even if it's the low amount, $2,500, and spend it on food and jars and lids and storage space and things like that, than to go out and do it for one unit. I got to have it set up. It's got to be hooked up correctly. I got to have the space for it. It just seems like more of a headache for me. Again, there are pros to it. So if it's something you're interested in, by all means, go out there and get one, please.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And send me some
Do
bit of
remember that these big channels with these freeze dryers got them free.
Yep.
They
They
did.
didn't go out. They didn't go out and spend the 3,000-4,000. They were giving them for free to market them to you to want to buy them.
Now,
Yeah.
now I will say there is a couple of the big channels that I know of that they actually saved their money up and bought them. But
Bought it.
theoretically, it does happen
Right.
with some of the channels out
Yeah.
there. I mean,
The one
I know
was
like a
watching.
couple of them that I
They
watch,
got
they're
theirs.
always pushing it, and
Yeah.
it's because they got them for free. But they
Yeah.
were
Right.
honest
Yeah.
about getting them for free.
Right.
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 Yeah. Which I would take one if Harvest Right
Oh.
is watching this.
I would,
I would take
anybody would
one.
take it for free.
I will tell everyone it's
Another game
amazing.
we're talking about. Yeah.
I will do 3
I think
commercials.
what Daniel's saying is he's for sale.
I will do 3 commercials.
This is a family channel, Daniel.
He has
Family hour.
I mean, the honesty is, if they wanted to give me one and all that, I'm not going to turn it down. I'm not an idiot, but I'm not going to go
Exactly.
spend my money to go buy one because I can buy other things with that. So
Yeah.
I think at that point, if somebody was going to give me one, I'm going to be the idiot and I'm going to turn that down because I think basically what Ginger said is just like spot on. We have to make sense out of that for our own families. I can't make sense even for a free dehydrator. I can't make sense out of that. I don't eat dehydrated food and I have no desire to eat dehydrated food. And so I wouldn't invest even my time because you have to put a price on your time at that point.
that's a good point.
Even if that was free, I'm not going to bite. I mean, if you want to give it to me, I'll gift it off.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, more than likely, I'm going to say no to give it to somebody who really wants it.
Yeah.
You know, that
And
wants
that's a valid point too.
Yeah.
And it's an honest, valid point. I mean, there is no point in taking it if you're not going to use it. I mean,
No.
really,
Yeah.
there isn't. So I really want to come back to this because we're getting close to being here for an hour. I think all I'm trying to get out, and through the conversation I had with Ginger, which spawned this conversation, is I primarily wanted to get out there. Just make sure you're comparing apples with apples. Don't try to compare it, because you never will get the same thing if you compare apples with bananas and oranges. That's the whole reason of what the thumbnail is.
Yeah.
You got to make sure that the product you're doing is the same product. You got to make sure that the weight you're ending up in the end is the same. You got to make sure that the process you're doing is exactly theoretically as close to it as possible to be able to compare it to something else. If it's not, then it's not a comparable item and you're wasting money. Theoretically, you're wasting money.
Right.
So make sure, and again, as we've always said, don't go out and buy something just because it's 78 cents and I should have something like that on my shelf. If you're not going to eat it, it's a waste of money.
Yeah.
And it kind of goes with what Tina just said. No point in having a freeze dryer if I'm not going to eat it. There's no point in it.
Exactly.
So touche on that, because you are correct. I didn't think of it that way.
Yeah. You know, I'd be
Most of
curious
those
to
things
see
have
what
to run
happened.
for a long time, and for me, that's not an option like that. I mean, running for like 48 hours straight. I mean,
Right.
I know they may suck just a little bit of power or minimal, but that's just not in the
Well, and
that's
your power source has to be in part of the thought process. If your power source does not handle that use, again, you're wasting the purchase.
Right.
Yeah.
Or you're going to spend more money to make it work. One of the two is going to happen.
But again, going back to how all this got started, I was watching that big channel, and what they said just sent me into freak out mode. So like Janet said, you just got to kind of keep yourself in check and reel yourself back in. You know, don't let what somebody else does influence what you do, because it may not work for you.
Right. Heavenly Hills Homestead says the freeze dryers are generated more to the end of days preppers type scenario, which I mean could happen, but we still need to be self-sufficient with or without the freeze dryer. So we should choose without. I mean, and it depends on how you're looking at it. That's a smart approach to it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because again, I mean, if you're looking at the, you know, apocalypse, the end of time, blah, 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 whatever you want to call it, are you really going to have the power to run that? Is that really going to be an option for you to use at that point? We don't know that, you know? So you may have a piece of equipment that's just going to sit there and not be able to do anything. Well, at the flip side, if you got, just example, if you got the thought process of how to run a dehydrator, you could do that over a fire pit, theoretically, and still make it work.
You could do that out in the sun.
Right.
You know,
my point is a skill set. Okay. Unfortunately, a freeze dryer is not giving us a skill set. Am I correct or incorrect?
Yeah, I think the end of days prepping and stuff, that's really not for me. I don't choose to live every day thinking about that. I choose to think about, you know, a job loss or an illness or, you know, something like that. And that's what I prepare for. It's not end of days. We're all going to have an end of day moment. Every single one of us in the chat, you know? And so, I don't know. I just go for joy because happiness is fleeting. You know, I don't know. This glass makes me happy, but when it breaks, it's over. You know, happiness, you know, but happiness
is gone. Oh.
Right. My happiness is gone. So I focus on joy because that's what stays, you know? So that's how I choose.
And I agree. I agree 100%. That's exactly because we have a video that's going to come out Tuesday about what we've been talking about here. And that's exactly what we talk about. We're not talking about the whatever that acronym is that it's become really popular on this genre.
Teotihuacan. Yeah. The end of the days as we know it.
Yeah, or whatever. I'm more worried about if I walk out this door, I get in my vehicle to go to work and I get in a car wreck.
Right.
And then I can't work for a month.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm worried about.
Right.
I'm more worried about that we get a freak ice storm that comes in and it tears down the power grid. And I'm not set up for solar yet. So I have food storage so that I can take care of it. I'm more worried about that, God forbid, both of us are in an accident and neither one of us can work or anything like that. You know, the whole end of days, it hitting the fan, whatever. I don't want to hear it. I mean, what I read in my book, we win, and I'm not going to be here. So I don't care about what's going to happen when the zombies come. Don't care.
Zombies.
A very good point that's been brought up over here. The chat's really going, really bringing some great points up. Is that's your freeze dried foods, if that's going to be your end game plan, if that, we wouldn't be getting it for that. We would be getting it if we had a load of onions and we just needed to preserve them.
No, I agree.
And onions, you know what I mean? But if you don't have enough water, you need water for you.
Yeah.
You need water to stay clean. And the food takes a lot of water to rehydrate. So if you're not planning that way, then it would not be the best way to plan for that.
And if I can jump in, also in the chat, hush your mouth, tone. What Dale said about solar, Dirt Road Destiny said, our dehydrator takes 4 small solar panels and a connector. Not too bad for off-grid peeps. On-grid dehydrators aren't bad still. So, I mean, she's figured out a way to make her dehydrator run off-grid with her solar panels and her connector. So, I mean, I don't know that you would be capable of doing that with a freeze dryer.
They take a lot of juice. You need a lot of panels.
There's a lot more wattage there than one of those small dehydrators, I think. So
you need a lot of panels for that.
This is what, to me, what I do and what we do here at the house, and what it sounds like most of you. Sorry, I might sound like a robot. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Earth to Major Tom. Earth to Major Tom.
Any better?
Continue
Yeah.
on.
Okay.
Go, make your point.
Awesome point.
Oh no.
I have heard 3 gunshots in the last 20 minutes. I don't know who's shooting off a gun.
The whole point.
Running out there.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
We can hear you, yes.
Yeah.
The whole point I'm trying to say is that if need be, you can do exactly what's down there. That's where I'm
That's
scared
what-
at, is that I need to, and on a continual basis, I'm going to the store a lot less than I used to go to the store, which I am not going as near as we used to. So,
Yeah.
You know what else is that I noticed this year? We used to use, because we do cook all of our food at home. So we used to have to use the large garbage cans for the municipality to put garbage cans away.
Yeah.
I don't think we have 2 bags of garbage anymore in any given week because
Oh, wow.
all of our jars are going right back into our storage area.
Nice.
And then we refill them. So that is probably a $25 a month savings because they keep raising how much they charge. So $25 a month we're saving by just getting smaller and smaller cans.
Mhm.
That's a good deal.
I
look
cannot
at
believe
this
that.
one.
Did you see Mitchell's?
Yeah, look at that.
$8.99 for a dozen eggs. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Nina
it's going
must have
crazy.
herself.
Yeah.
And that's somewhere I could see a freeze dryer. We're not going to buy one, but for eggs, like we get so many eggs and we put them in the fridge and we almost have half of a refrigerator dedicated to eggs. So that's something we could freeze dry.
Yeah, I got 36 eggs today.
Right. We got 36 eggs out of the
Wow.
coop.
How
And I
many
think we
chickens
just,
do you have?
well, a bunch.
I stopped counting at 70.
A bunch.
Holy cow.
So we eat the eggs. The dogs eat the eggs.
It's chicken math, people.
Yeah.
It's chicken math.
We got an incubator. It just makes chickens. You
Here's
put the
the
eggs
deal,
in there and
though.
the chickens come out.
You got to plan your chicken coop appropriately.
Yeah.
Can
We
you
could
make-
easily
I have
100.
winter layers out there. I have Wyandottes that lay all year round. We were watching a thing last night that like it was 15 of the rarest chicken
Or
breeds, and
something.
we're
Yeah.
watching
Chickens
it.
you've never heard of.
And he turns around, looks at me. He's like, "You got like 12 of those 15 chickens." I'm like,
She loves her chickens. But I could see that for the freeze dryer simply because we run out of space. So something like that, you could freeze dry it and at least you could store it more shelf stable because I think it's hard to can eggs. Like you see the different things people do to try to can
here's
eggs.
what we do with our eggs, though. When we have an abundance of eggs, obviously we're keto, so we eat a lot of eggs.
Yeah, the dogs eat the
I
eggs.
feed eggs to my dog, so it cuts back on
Right,
my
the
dog
pigs would eat
food.
the eggs.
And I feed eggs to my pigs
Yeah.
because I give them the oldest ones though, because they're still fresher than the ones you get at the store. Because when I call an old egg is like a month, and y'all are getting them at like 2.
Right,
but
at the store it's not
Then
fresh
I feed
eggs.
feed it to my pigs, and I turn eggs into bacon.
And they're
There you
breeding
go.
those eggs, and the eggshells are permeable.
Yeah.
So that really freaks me out. I just
Oh yeah, at the store, I haven't eaten a store bought egg in years, and I'm happy for that.
I get it.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh,
Any last
that's
words?
over here
better.
giving us all kinds of ideas for your egg overage. By the way, you've got
Oh yeah,
Oh, I've got every idea possible.
I'll take any idea.
I've been running 75 plus chickens for at least 5-6 years now. So
we've got. If I turn the camera, we got stacks of egg cartons everywhere. We got baskets full of eggs. We got half a fridge full of eggs in the garage. We just, what are you gonna do?
you just
What are you gonna
Mail
do?
me a couple of
I tell you what, when the lockdown happened,
Yeah, COVID. We gave
all
them to
of
the
our
neighbors.
neighbors loved us
We were
because
going giving eggs to
nobody
the
could
neighbors.
get eggs, and I filled up my
It was a little wagon.
little wagon of probably 30 dozen eggs,
Yeah.
and I walked because
We were
all
door
of
to
ours are
door.
multiple acres away. I walked door to door. I left 2 to 3 dozen eggs on everybody's step with a little note
Ding
on it.
dong
I rang the
ditch.
doorbell and I got out of there
Ding
because
dong
we
ditch.
were in lockdown. And I gave my number and
We were
told
just going all the
people,
way around.
just
yeah.
text me if you want more, because my chickens are still,
They're producing. They
They're
don't know
still
COVID's up,
producing.
so we were giving these out to the whole neighborhood.
Nobody
well,
told
during lockdown, that's when 9 acres become a market farm. I mean,
Yeah.
that was because people were afraid to go to the store, or stores didn't have it.
Right.
My chickens didn't know anything was going on.
Right. They're
Right.
still banging them out. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
Did
that.
you say
Yes. Did you read?
Yes.
that?
Thank you, Tony.
I didn't know that.
most
Yeah.
egg cartons have a 3-digit
know
code?
either.
On that example, if it's 1, 2, 3, it was packaged on 123rd day of the year.
Yeah. So just to share a good joke on the way out for anybody that's raised chickens or incubated chickens or knows anything about chickens, we got a comment. It might have been on TikTok. I
That
don't
was
remember.
no, it was on YouTube. That
YouTube.
was
Okay.
the funniest comment.
Best comment ever. So we did a quick video where we were putting eggs in the incubator, and the person came back and said, "This is BS. You can't incubate store-bought eggs." And because we keep the eggs in egg cartons, right?
I
We
guess
buy egg
we're
cartons
not
for
allowed.
the egg cartons are like $0.25 each, and like you can't incubate store-bought eggs. I'm like, you're right, but you're just so wrong. You're just so wrong.
I love that. You're right, but you're so wrong.
You're so wrong.
That was a good laugh.
That won
Yeah,
the internet
yeah.
for the year. I
Right.
believe.
Like, no, you're right.
Yeah.
You cannot incubate store-bought eggs, but
No.
that's not what
That's
these are.
funny.
The
Yeah.
one,
Just one
the,
more thing too before we leave. Did you know that this book has a freezing and canning section in it?
Does it?
Yep. Yep.
I never even noticed that. Yes, it
Hey,
does. Mine
Ginger.
does.
maybe you should read your books better.
I know, right?
Put it on your Amazon store.
I haven't cracked this one in quite a while, so
Okay.
Today was homework, so I was like, "Whoa, wait a second! It's got a canning section." But this is how old it is. It says the directions for one thing says, where did it go? Fooey, fooey, booey. It said boiling water canning. I was like, well, we call that water bathing now, but
Yeah.
okay.
Back in the day, it was called something else.
Boiling
Yeah.
water canning.
Yes. All right. Any last words from anybody?
No, this was really fun. Boy, it was lively.
Yes, it was.
And I learned a lot from the chat today.
The chat is
I love you guys in the chat. I love it.
cracking me up, man. I love it.
Laughing
Yeah.
and monkeys. And this is funny.
It's so-
I
so
want
much
it.
Linda at Grace and Fire says we're renting a rooster. So
I know.
eggs can be
Man, I got a lot of
Great
roosters out there I
idea.
can rent out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Boy, it is. It is just flowing with information
Yeah,
over there,
it
isn't it?
It really is.
I never knew that about the numbers on the carton.
And
I love
Leanne,
that.
Leanne just made a good point because a lot of people have asked about it. Why do they call it canning? Because back in the day, they used tin cans.
Yep.
Now, if you want to use tin cans, because I do a lot of the home brewing, you can get a home brewing canning set up for like beer cans. I don't know how that would translate to food, but if you want to go the aluminum can route, that
Yeah.
kind of equipment's not too outrageously expensive if you actually want to can it yourself in an aluminum can.
If you look in the USDA's Complete Guide to Home Canning, I think they have a section for metal canning.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
so. Yeah.
It's attainable. Just look at the home brewing stuff and you'll find it. You'll find the
Yeah.
cans.
Yep.
All right. Well, you guys have a great day. Thank you,
Oh, hey,
everybody. And
wait a minute. Hold on.
Oh,
Heavenly Hills has invited everybody to join that 5-gallon challenge. So anybody sitting in here now, that's the indoor growing. Is this what we're talking about here?
Indoor, 5 gallons or less.
Okay.
What is it?
It's hashtag. Hold on. I got to come back to it because it jumped up on me. I'll put it. Oh, wrong one. There you go.
5-gallon challenge.
Yep. Hashtag 5, the number 5, and the words gallon challenge.
I think that's a great idea. I really
Mhm.
do.
You take
Grow
a
some
5-gallon
food.
bucket
Something.
and you plant something in it and grow it in your house till April the 15th, and you weigh out how much it produces and
Oh,
use it to
God,
cook with.
Are you allowed to use lights I haven't watched the video.
Yes, you're allowed to use lights. You can't have a greenhouse or grow out something, but yeah, you can use
You can
lights.
put lights on a shelf and grow. Okay, cool.
Right. I know how you Californians are with those grow lights.
Oh, for the herb growing.
Right.
My
I don't
medicine.
smoke, Daniel. I don't smoke.
I did not say you did. I don't know how
You
it
just
has to
said
do with grow lights.
Californians.
I know you
Or
like
that
grow lights.
alternative
That's all I'm
crop.
saying.
That's actually Humboldt County.
I'm in Northern California, but I'm not on the coast. Exactly, Tina. Good for me.
I do want to tell you it's no longer California's claim to fame only
We're in Washington
because
State.
Washington now it is our #1 agricultural crop.
I'll bet it is.
Oh,
I'll
my.
bet it is.
It has exceeded apples, and
How
that's
come
what.
Wow.
Oh my
everywhere?
God.
Wow.
How
No,
do we
I
go
just
from
kind of
food
wonder.
to
I was born and raised in Northern California in Santa
Yeah.
Rosa. And then I moved to Washington. I've been here for over 30 years now. And it's like, I asked my husband the other day, how come everywhere we live, I'm embarrassed to live there? You know, it's like Inslee embarrasses me. You
Yeah.
know, California governors. We had Sonny Bono. That embarrassed me. And it's like, I got to move.
Arnold Schwarzenegger was governor.
Oh
Yeah.
my
The governor of California.
I'll be back.
The governor is here.
Yeah.
You know what surprised me? I used to work downtown when he was the governor. I worked downtown, and he was out doing a speech one day, and we were out taking our lunchtime walk, and he's not as tall as I thought he would be.
I knew he was short. He had to
He's
be.
like 5'9" or 5'10" or something. I was like, whoa! I
Sylvester
thought he was like
Stallone.
6'4" or something.
See, so
Stallone's like 4 feet tall. You kidding me? Stallone's like,
He's not tall at all.
I suspect
Neither is Tom. What's his name again, Janet?
Cruise.
Ugh.
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise.
He's like
Oh,
5'6" or 5'5". He's really not a
Yeah.
tall.
He looks like he'd be shrimpy.
Yeah.
I'm feeling attacked here. Y'all guys are talking about people that are like 4 inches taller than me, saying they're not tall.
You look like you're 6'6".
Thank you, but not even remotely.
Are you short, Dale?
No, I'm average.
Oh,
What is
average?
What is that?
5'6" is average.
It is.
hmm
Oh, I'm at Amazon.
I lost a half an inch last year when I went for my physical. I'm short anyways.
It's called shrinking.
Yeah, and I told my husband, I said, at what? Because I'm like 5'2". And I told my husband, I said, when you hit midget status, because I'm
4
getting
feet,
close. Like,
11 inches.
what is it?
4 foot, 11 inches.
It's already on. I just need
Are
creamer.
you serious? I'm 3 inches away from a midget.
Yeah.
2 of the spoon that's out. All right, guys, we're heading out. Have a good day.
appreciate you.
Thank
See
you
you
for
later.
coming. We appreciate
Thank
everybody
you.
in chat.
Thank you, Mod. Thank you,
Mods.
chat. Thank you, you guys. I appreciate you. I do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a good one.
Bye.